Hosted by Jason Bryan and providing the latest insights on telecoms trends from around the world. This is Rocco Radio.
Innovation can occur anywhere, and obviously you have very large companies out there versus you might have a much smaller company who might not have those same connections but could have something that's a real diamond. And now I would say a David can compete with a Goliath, if you will.
Welcome to Eureka, the podcast from Rocco Radio that untangles the wires and dives deep into the heart of the ever-evolving telecoms industry, focused on innovation. I'm your host, Jason Bryan, and I'm here to bring you the hottest trends, the insider insights, and most importantly, the interviews with the winners of the Innovators 2023 and the Genesis and Roaming and Messaging Hackathons. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just curious about how innovation is developing in our industry, this series is for you. You can also check out the 5th issue of Rocco Genesis magazine, available at leading industry events and online for all the interviews and other industry news. Listen out at the end of this podcast for how to register for the Innovators and Hackathons 2024, the results of which will be presented next May at the Genesis event in Seville, Spain. In this podcast, we meet Brian Beach, who came in second place in this year's Innovators. Let's have a listen to how Syniverse won and what they thought of the experience. It's a great pleasure to be here with Brian Beach from Syniverse. Brian, thank you so much for joining me. Would you be able to introduce yourself to our listeners, what your company is, of course, which most operators, of course, and vendors in the industry will know about, and what is your role?
Sure. Thanks, Jason. Pleasure to be here. So my name is Brian Beach, and I'm Senior Product Director for Syniverse. And as Product Director, I work in the product line of business. I've also worked in the R&D department at Syniverse and spent some time even as a developer when I first came in. For those who don't know, Syniverse, our tagline is the world's most connected company. We are the company that provides network, messaging, clearing and settlement, all the things that are sort of unseen to the subscriber, but the operators are very well aware of. And we also provide services to enterprises. And we've been around for quite a long time, around 40 years. I've been with the company for a little over 16. So it's been quite a ride. When I joined the company, there was no such thing as a smartphone. And to see it evolve to where we are today has been quite an experience.
Yeah, for sure. Syniverse have been there the whole journey, right? Right through all the different generations of service that we've had in the telecoms industry. So it's actually great that you're still doing well. You're a very admired company, I would say, by mobile operators, especially. And that's proven by your being ranked second in the Innovators 2023. Congratulations. How did you feel after being shortlisted and presenting live at Genesis 2023 in front of those lions?
Oh, absolutely elated. I mean, innovation is key to our company's success. And it was a great experience. I mean, I think first to be shortlisted, which was more of a kind of a get out the vote campaign. But then from coming into the lion's den to present, I think that was the real key. Because getting in front of these lions are some of the pinnacle of the mobile industry's personnel. I mean, they really know their stuff. I know they do their homework. And to come into second place, I think is really a testament to how this solution fared against this very tough group of judges. And also, the audience. The audience was there to learn, and I think they appreciated the innovation that we brought. So very, very happy to win this award. And really, I love the whole format.
Yeah, it was a great and dynamic event, I would say, to see the Lions responding live on stage to some very brave presenters, I think you could say, who were really ready to be critiqued and, has some amazing solutions. But you guys came in second place. Can you recap on what your solution is and what problem the solution is trying to solve?
Sure. So the product is called Evolve Mobility. And what it is a solution to help fill the gap when operators sunset their legacy RAN and network. So if you think about what's going on in the world today, operators are removing their 2G and 3G to make room mainly for 5G. That's the reason, right? 5G is the new thing, but 5G is very, very expensive, both in CapEx and OpEx, and that all important RAN frequency, that's very expensive. So if you can refarm that spectrum and use it for 5G, they're going to do it. But that leaves a big gap. And the reason is that in order to be a full 4G, 5G only operator, you rely on VoLTE or voice over LTE for your voice roaming. And the reality is that the rest of the world has very little VoLTE roaming going on. It's increasing. You'll see some of the big players in the industry. They've made, I would say, monumental steps in the last couple of years, mainly because of this sunsetting. But the fact remains there are hundreds and hundreds of operators who aren't even a few years away. They're a half a decade away from having VoLTE. And so this is going to, and has shown to be, quite a disruption in the industry. So if you're an operator used to having 400, 500 operators, and now you can only service voice to, say, 50 of those, well, that leaves 400 operators out that can no longer support voice when roaming on your network. Evolve Mobility is that bridge. It allows those operators to continue to roam without them having to do anything, which is really the key. From their perspective, it looks like 3G never went away. They're still leveraging 3G-like roaming using a voice-enabled or a VoLTE-enabled handset. And that's also kind of the key. What we learned is about 85% of those people, the demographics of those people that get on airplanes and travel to these destinations, primarily first world destinations, who have sunsetted, they do have VoLTE-enabled handsets. So that's not the issue. The issue is that the home operator doesn't have the network components and everything else to support VoLTE. That's where we come in. And it's been a great success. We are supporting about 100 different home operators roaming into our platform. We've expanded now into not only North America, but Asia Pacific, and we're looking at the European countries as well. I like to say we follow the sunset or sunsets. And as those operators, you're going to see is in 2025, that's a big year for sunsets. And so the product is expanding as the sunsets are occurring across the globe.
Yeah, it sure is monumental time in the industry. I mean, in all the Gs, and I've seen several of them, we've never had quite this situation before. So it's incredible that you have over 100 operators using that solution. And it makes a lot of sense since there hasn't been really the focus in the industry to kind of drive that and push that. But it's only reactionary, it's a feeling that now, okay, the impact is here and we have to get a solution to help us to get through that. So I think it's great what you guys are doing. And clearly the Lions also thought so as well. And what was your feeling to receive the award?
Again, it was great. I feel like this was a little bit of an uphill battle for us. Where we stood, there was a number of votes. So the online voting, I think we were close to the back of the pack as far as those that made the short list. And so to be able to get up on the stage in front of the Lions and do what we did was really a testament to their understanding of the innovation and them thinking of how innovative it was. Because I'll say this, you can't really rely on what I'll call a razzle-dazzle or a flashy presentation with the Lions because they can see right through that. They rely on the innovation. They're prepared for very tough questions, very detailed questions. And they did. They delivered. I've been in lots of different customer presentations, different conventions where I've presented. But these people were prepared. They are very knowledgeable in their area. And so some of the questions that they asked were really, really deep questions, which I think is great because that's the kind of depth that you typically don't get to see in an audience type participation in a standards group. So I thought it was really, really monumental that we were able to do that, and kind of, I call it coming from behind, if you will. I don't know how behind we were, but certainly I think, I did a little bit of math before I came in, and I thought for us to even place is going to be really an accomplishment. So very, very happy that we came in second.
Yeah, for sure. For me, the process demonstrates that the operator community has a role in voicing what requirements they see, that vendors should be working on, right? And what should come out of the industry. And for many vendors, I think it's who don't listen, who don't kind of follow, let's say, what is the challenges of operators. It's much harder to make a convincing and value-added service or a new product into the market. And I think that it's really important, just for me, reinforces the fact that the M&Ls, we should give them a chance to speak, to recognize what is important for them in terms of innovations.
Absolutely. And I think that the feedback that they provided, the constructive feedback, is very valuable. A lot of times we think we're the innovators, we're going to present our solution and wow them. And sometimes we do. But other times they've already thought of this, and they said, well, yeah, but have you thought of, how are you going to do this? How are you going to account for that? And we didn't realize that. So having this forum to be able to go back and forth between the vendors and the operators and really in real time exchange ideas, I think is really valuable.
You're right. Sometimes the operators, they wow you. And a lot of these people in these roles, given the opportunity, I think they would like to also develop products and services, So this is really an opportunity for them to kind of give their insights back, because a lot of them have been in the industry for quite some time. So I think you would recommend taking part in the Innovators to any company.
Definitely. I thought it was a really good event. One of the things I noticed about it was the format really kept everybody engaged throughout the entire event. I mean, this is very different than you go to a lot of industry meetings or conventions, and basically you have keynote speakers, you have breakout sessions. Basically, it's a place for people to get together and then split apart, and they go into their respective silos, and they learn about the things that only they're interested in. I think this was a really great event because while I may not participate in enterprise, for example, if I'm exposed to things within the mobile ecosystem that is for enterprise, I might learn something from it. And in fact, it's called an ecosystem for a reason. We're in a mobile ecosystem, which means something way over here outside of what I normally work on. If there's a ripple, if there's something that's impactful to that industry, chances are it's going to impact my industry, my area of expertise. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I think the fact that we were all in the same room for all of the events really was a really nice change. I would also say in the future, I think at least for the innovator part of the conference, I do think that putting maybe a little less weight on the get out the vote online might be helpful. And the reason I say that is because innovation can occur anywhere. And obviously you have very large companies out there who have very well connected friends in the industry, right? Versus you might have a much smaller company who might not have those same connections, but could have something that's a real diamond. The good thing is once we get there, then the playing field is leveled. And now I would say a David can compete with a Goliath, if you will. So I do think that giving true innovation a chance, I think the Lions Den provides a great venue for that. And I definitely encourage more of that in the future.
So you would recommend it to new or potential participants who have ideas for innovations as a good format for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a way to be noticed and seen too. Just like a good writer or an artist may have a fantastic work of art, but if they can't be seen, nobody's going to know about it. So finding a venue, finding an avenue for really great innovations to be able to make it to that stage I think is a great thing.
Yeah. You're reminding me of an open mic session. It's kind of like open mic for innovation.
Yeah, exactly. Because I will say there's been too many times I've gone to other, quote, competition type things, and we've been in the running, or somebody wins, but you don't really know why did that person win or why did that solution win. It was there wasn't a sense of transparency. This was great because, the judges even flipped up their scorecards and you had the audience that raised their hands and everybody can see. It's quite obvious. The transparency is there. So you know where you stand with the audience, where you stand with the lions, the judges. So that was a really nice change.
And we see actually some companies who presented in the first Innovators back in 22 come again, even though they didn't get maybe the response they were expecting, to come again to try again. And that is very encouraging because it proves to us that the format works. So Syniverse, clearly a company that has evolved a lot over the years, a company that continues to grow and expand, to enter into new directions. Would you say Syniverse has an innovation culture?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that is core to our existence. And like you pointed out, I mean, we've been there from every key shift. We started in 1G, was there when 2G came around, 3, 4, 5. Every major generation shift, we've been there. And we continue and will continue to provide innovative solutions that fill the gap. Because every time there is a major shift, there's some kind of gap. So the product I talked about, Evolved Mobility, fills in the roaming gap that you're going to have when operators move to 5G and sunset their legacy. But we're going to see there's other gaps, right? We're scratching the surface on what's going to happen with 5G, what new services will come about, what older services will still have to be maintained, and you have to create a bridge. Like Evolved Mobility, it's more or less a bridge between old and new. So it is definitely, I mean, innovation is at the core. I mean, we're well connected with the operators and we're providing innovative solutions to be able to allow that mobile ecosystem to continue to grow without minimizing or reducing or eliminating disruptions in the industry.
No, I mean, it was a little bit of a trick question, Brian, because clearly Syniverse have always done innovative products and services. I've seen it over the years. And, the fact that you came up with this solution is testament to the fact that you're up for it. You will come up with new ideas. You will explore, research and develop. And I think that's really a great direction to go in.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that we were up for the challenge, because it was. This solution of Evolved Mobility was a monumental challenge. I kind of joked tongue in cheek that it was akin to the lunar mission. Obviously, the lunar mission was a lot more involved and a lot more expansive than this, but it took the courage to decide to do it in the face of a lot of headwinds of people in the industry, very powerful people in the industry, saying that it couldn't be done or it was simply going to be too difficult to be effective. And we stuck with it because we believed in it. And I think that's kind of the power. And that's what I said. Innovation, in a way, is not just coming up with something new. It's coming up with something new that is hard. If you invent the first blue pencil, that's not necessarily innovative. It's new, but doing something that's completely new and that's hard, I think that's key. And that's one of the things that I'd like to point out that Syniverse has a record of doing is tackling challenges that are very difficult in the industry.
Yeah, it's much more than an incremental change to a product or service. It's really a breakthrough in terms of innovation for me. What's next? Final question. What's next? Any more ideas that you have for the future? What can we expect in 2023, 2024?
Well, okay. So, what's next as the company? That's a different question. We have a lot of different innovations going on. But I think the big one we're going to start seeing is lots of different 5G related services. But what I'll talk about is what's next with the Evolved Mobility product line. As the name implies, it is evolving. I hinted at the Genesis conference that we're launching a solution that will allow operators to not just sunset their RAN, but also their legacy equipment, which is more of a use case for their own subscribers to be able to outbound roam into environments that do not support VoLTE roaming today. And I'm happy to say that product is being launched GA this month, and we already have 2 customers ready to go. So that's going to be a really exciting new wrinkle in this, because up to that point, it's been about inbound roaming into operators who have sunsetted. Now we're talking about those same operators that have sunsetted. They're going to go to the next phase, which is get rid of all this expensive OpEx and equipment that's costing them millions and millions of dollars. We can do this. We can allow them to sunset that equipment without disrupting their own home subscribers in outbound roaming. We're also adding new features in SMS. SMS is already kind of a hybrid approach. You've got those that have VoLTE-enabled handsets use something called SMS over IP, but not everybody adheres to the standard. And even with VoLTE-enabled handsets, they still rely on what's called SMS over NAS, which is your traditional SMS over SS7. However, the SS7 component is going away, and a lot of operators are going to be relying on diameter. So there's a new SMS called SMS over SGD, which is the diameter interface. We're expanding our product to support that, because there are operators. Think about a greenfield operator. They're not going to have SS7. So if you have devices coming into your network that don't have SMS over IP, how are you going to support them? Well, SMS over SGD is one of them. We're also just expanding. Like I said, we're following the sunsets. So we're expanding like crazy. We're putting different regional data centers in place. So Asia Pacific's one, but we're also going to expand to EU. And then finally, we're expanding our PSTN capabilities to handle the voice. Not every operator wants to use their existing PSTN infrastructure. They may say, we're getting rid of the old PSTN and we want you to bring it to the table since it looks like VoLTE roaming. It looks like the PSTN should be broken out in the home. So Syniverse, you bring that to the table. And that we started the product with that, but we're expanding. And so we're doing more like a true voice carrier provides. So intelligent routing, not just least cost routing, but yes, cost is a factor, but is it a good quality route? You have an operator that's in Asia Pacific. You might want to use a Asia Pacific centric PSTN provider because they have better rates and they have better relationships versus using one that's mainly US centric or possibly European centric. So just a few things that we're doing, but in a nutshell, we're growing, we're expanding, and the capabilities of this product line are growing and expanding as well.
It's really interesting to hear what you said, especially about SMS and the future of that and when that's evolving. A lot of people must be wondering what's going to happen with that. And so I think you've really helped a lot of people understand where it's going and where the product is going as well. So, Bryan, I want to thank you so much for participating. It's always a great pleasure to hear directly from you. You have a very interesting insights and approach to things. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast with me.
Well, thank you, Jason. Pleasure was mine.
I look forward to seeing you soon. And I look forward to maybe another innovation in next year's Innovators.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Get your thinking on. I'm sure you can come up with something for the 5G sunrise.
Yeah. Yes, the sunrise. Yes, exactly.
Thanks a lot, Bryan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Eureka. We hope you enjoyed learning about how companies face innovation opportunities. If you're hungry for more, we've got a whole series of episodes lined up for you. Remember to give your feedback on LinkedIn, and don't forget, your feedback fuels our mission to keep you at the forefront of the telecoms innovation. If you want to contribute to the Innovators 2024, the registration period is now open. Just email hq@rocco.group to find out more. Registration closes on the 22nd of December. On the 22nd of November, we also start registering teams for the Roaming and Messaging Hackathons 2024. This year, the challenges will be revealed on the 22nd of Jan. If you remember last year, it was a great opportunity to demonstrate how your team has the capability to respond to challenges raised by mobile operators and enterprises in our industry. Important to note, nominations for Rocco 100 are also currently open and close on November the 6th. Don't forget to recognize someone you admire who has made a difference in the last 2 years. Until next time, stay wired, stay inspired, and keep the conversations flowing. This is Jason Bryan signing off. Many thanks for listening to Rocco Radio.